Now we review the 2025 film Sinners. Oh, it sounds like my kind of movie. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen Sinners, which is a modern film that was recommended to me by my subscriber El Pistafo. And El Pistafo was like, yes, Sinners is an excellent movie, and it is. It's sort of From Dusk Till Dawn, only in the Prohibition era. And the premise is you've got two African-American brothers. They're twins, and they're out there trying to capitalize on the legality of alcohol before the alcohol itself becomes legal. Because they're saying, it's going to be legal. We're not going to be able to make as much off of it anymore. So they're basically opening a nightclub, and they got Irish beer and Italian wine, and they're bringing in the music, and then, From Dusk Till Dawn happens. So kind of spoilers there, but there's some things that are otherworldly about this particular movie, and well, I have to say it's an interesting enough story. It does talk a lot about the African Americans and their struggle to survive as sharecroppers in an ugly world that treats them very poorly. They have, they're paid in tokens, which are only good at the master's store. So basically their bread and butter is given to them by a master who can charge whatever they want to for them. And, that's just how it is. It's a really hard life in a really ugly world where people seem to go missing for no good reason, And it really, for much of it, feels like it's happening before the First World War. There's people on horseback and, gunfighting and whatever have you, and all those sorts of things. But then, there's the Prohibition era stuff like the Tommy gun and grenades, which existed in the pineapple grenade, which existed in the First World War. But probably where this movie shines the most is that it does have a cast of interesting characters, and it shows the relationships between those characters. There's a lot of the concept of music and your African American contribution to music and all the wonderful things thereof. And it shows a lot of, there's this one scene where, there's somebody performing and they morph into a more modern version of themselves, then a more modern version of themselves, and then so on and so forth. And these things are really excellent. I could say that as a second point, love the music. Some catchy tunes in here. Very much enjoyed the music of this particular piece. There's a part where the central villain basically sings an Irish jig in an Irish accent. And I can say that I just absolutely love that part of the movie. It's one of these things about the power of music and the joy of music. And then it's juxtaposed with your central conflict, which is otherworldly in nature. And I don't want to give away too much, but it's otherworldly in nature. And I honestly have to ask myself, if somebody wrote this original movie without that happening, and if you cut out all of that, if after all the night's events, everything happened and everybody went home safe, the final climax would still happen. So there's that. This is a very interesting movie in that regard. And as I say, if you're not a fan of these events, if they remind you of ugly history, they might bother you a bunch. And it does depict African Americans it depicts them in two separate lights. There's the heavy church-going crowd and the nature of those people who are very, very righteous. And then there's the sinners, who are central characters who drink and play music and fornicate and all those sorts of things. And there are questions that are brought up by this movie. Questions about equality and who is truly evil. And yeah, those questions are not easily answered. Which, yeah, it's good. This movie kind of stays with you. It gives you that kind of a emotional tug. So, Sinners, I'm going to say that this is a solid movie. It belongs in the upper half, the upper 25% of your watch list. Maybe not right at the top, but definitely it's a fun film. Very well made, with a lot of excellent points. I can't say it's perfect. It's not super entertaining, but I definitely enjoyed it. Anyway, just my opinion. Love to hear yours. Comments below. I'm Richard.
Ladies, gentlemen, and human-type persons, I am Sergeant Duck, and I am tasking you with commenting on this video. You should also like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with your friends, and make a better, more disciplined world for you and for me. Dismissed!